on, everybody? We're back for some Wednesday action in the Platinum Division on CCS 2 here as we got Moonstone Gaming taking on Nameless Love Stage. Moonstone sitting at 1-1 in the standings with Nameless Love Stage sitting at 1-0 because they got a reschedule coming in the future. Before we get into today's matches, though, I would like to take some time to check out our lovely sponsor, Pro Comps. By the way, I'm Rye Chance, joined by Elsa, the Queen, and yeah. What do you? I mean, just looking at this first composition here, and these are from previous games, right?
Yes. Yeah. So what we're looking at right now, we're looking at the comp builder feature here in the Pro Comps tool, which is very cool, and we're using it to just kind of take a look at the team composition that was run by Moonstone Gaming in their week 1 matchup against N9TF. And looking at it, Rye Chains, we were talking about it before we went live, and this looks like maybe their trade buttons weren't working. Once we got to that stage, because we got Nami in the mid lane, Lucian in the jungle, and then Zillion in the top lane as well. But the first thing I want to say about this team composition is it's very emblematic of what we've seen from Moonstone as a team. They've shown a lot of flexibility, and they like to pick a lot of squishy champions. So that's kind of the biggest thing that jumps out to me, is just kind of how little HP we do see in this team composition. And you can see right there on the warnings on the bottom left, Rye Chains, it says you do not have enough frontline. And that would, I think Pro Comps is right on with that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, looking at this, the only semi-tanky champion you even have on this team is Blitzcrank, and you're not really building tank items. Yeah, you'll get a Locket, like a Zeke's or something like that, but there is not much frontline here. And another thing that I'm looking at is how in the world is this team going to engage? Taking a look at the weaknesses on the bottom of the screen, you see engage is the number 1 weakness for this team composition. And, if you want to play, if you want to be effective, you got to know how to engage.
Yeah, absolutely. And they do have the Blitzcrank to bring people in, and somehow Rye Chains, it did end up working, because this was a 2-0 win for Moonstone. And when you do look at with the team game style there up on the bottom or top leftish area, you can see that this team composition does have a lot of ability to protect, with the Nami and Zillion in particular, all just sort of being able to buff up that Lucian, who eventually should be able to shred through the camp. So fun to look at it. And something to notice is that, it's not like Pro Comps is even saying that this composition is completely unviable or anything like that. And, that ended up being true as well. So, fun to look at that tool. And once again, this is the comp builder feature of Pro Comps. Very awesome. And, we're very happy to have Pro Comps as a sponsor of the CCS. I think we're going to get into the draft here pretty soon. We're going to jump in whenever these teams start, but maybe we'll take a look at a draft from last week for just a second until they do end up starting. So well, actually, you know what? Let's just go into the draft.
Yeah, it looks like they started the draft up here, so we're gonna head into there. Yeah, they did a little bit fast, but nonetheless, we are underway for the pick ban of game number 1 between Moonstone and Nameless Love Stage. Poppy first taken off of the table, followed by Seraphine from Nameless Love Stage. Both of these champions very, very unique in their own ways, and I've been seeing a lot of Poppy jungle rising in the recent time.
Oh yeah, Poppy is definitely a super strong pick right now. I was actually, just when I was looking at these teams, I was noticing that Love Stage, Cade from Love Stage, has been spamming Poppy in solo queue, so not surprising to see that one banned out. On the side of Moonstone Gaming, Xerath is a very interesting ban, I think, coming out from Moonstone against Love Stage. Seraphine being banned just looks like a ubiquitous champion between these two teams, so it's fun to see these come through. Now, the Silas is one that I want to talk about, because I noticed that is Islamic Samurai's #1 played champion, and it looks like a lot of it might be in the support role even. So that's an interesting one. I know Silas is a fun support pick if you know what you're doing. But Moonstone with the first pick here coming through with Senna. This has been an absolute staple for this team. Flexible between no attack in the 80 carry position, and then Alanin in the support position as well. So excited. They're really happy, I think, to be able to still pick that one up here for their first pick.
And I mean, I believe they even picked up Senna mid last week,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So even it's a three-way
You're right.
flex technically. Now I don't really like it in the mid lane too much, but we'll see what Love Stage opts to do here as the Jarvan and the Tristana are picked up. Now some engaged tools here coming out for Nameless Love Stage, trying to get on to that immobile Senna that's gonna come through, and we'll see what Moonstone has to respond with this. I think
Ramus.
I'd like to see a some sort of tank jungler here, because we know that Moonstone is not the most likely to play tank champions, but Kench is going to be paired, I assume, in that bottom lane with the Senna, which is a very, very strong lane, and it's very hard to punish too.
Yeah, we got the resident sleeper bot lane. Tom Kench and Senna are super strong scaling, but I would have been really excited to see a Belveth lock in here. That would have been definitely like all in on the scaling for sure. But it doesn't, well, we'll see what they do. So
Oh,
yeah, okay. Yeah, so Lee Sin locked in. Not surprising in that it is PP Gaucho's top played champion. So makes sense that he would want to pick that one up. And Lee Sin, it always is pretty relevant, even if it's not necessarily at the top of the tier list. I think it's actually maybe a little bit underrated right now. Just because, if you can continue to hit your skill shots, you can really stick on people. I think definitely though, once you see the Jarvan, you can be competitive in that matchup. And with the Akali now being locked in for Love Stage, I anticipate this one to go to Basting in the top lane, just because we have seen him spamming this one in solo queue as well. Not really seeing any games of that, I don't believe, on King Yeatloaf's account there. So probably going to be a top lane Akali, and that would be a blind pick if it is top lane. Of course, there's always sort of the risk that they could shift it, but I think if Nameless really knows what they're doing, they'll know that it's going top lane, especially given these top lane bans coming out from Love Stage, sort of limiting those hard counter options.
yeah, and that's what Red Side likes to do a lot here, is pick a champion and pick a champion red 3 and then ban out the hardest counter picks, and that is
Right.
going to be the Aurelia and the Action taken away here. Galio is the first ban from Moonstone, sort of limiting that mid lane champion pool, and they kind of expect also that this Akali is going to be going top. So that's good draft knowledge and awareness there. But we'll see what the red 4 comes in is, and it is Rakan.
Yeah, Rakan coming through, and it is the other than Silas, it's the most played for Islamic Samurai. So definitely getting some comfort there for him. We'll see what they want to respond. Well, I mean, and obviously, you want to save your mid lane, to be able to get the counter pick here on the red side, since it's going to be Senna Tom Kench. There's the off chance, of course, that the Tom Kench could possibly go top lane, but I don't think that that's going to happen. And they are leaving it till the very last second there, but it's going to be Ornn locked in. And actually, I kind of like that. Oh, okay. And it could be a Zoe.
I have an inkling that this Tristana is going to be flex mid and Xayah R5.
That's a good point. I'm the big Tristana mid believer, so I would love to see that for sure.
I think it's good against any of these champs. It's good against any of the champs that they're hovering right now.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe not Talia. Maybe not.
Well,
it's harder. It's harder.
Yeah, the thing is, any champion, I mean, I think honestly Tristana can be good mid against pretty much anything. I do think they're going to end up putting it bot lane. I do think this is kind of a classic Xerath champion. And then also I think for Ovo, she definitely tends to play more the mage style champions or enchanters in the mid lane. But Anivia is sort of, another kind of resident sleeper champion in that it just drags the game out. But on the other hand, it is sort of hype just in that we do not normally see it all too often. And I do like the amount of ability to control space that this love stage team is going to have between the Jarvan 4 with the Cataclysm, the Anivia wall, and then also her ultimate as well. And then not to mention, Rakan being able to jump in with the grand entrance. So I think they have a lot of options as far as fighting in corridors and trying to make picks happen in those sorts of situations. On the other hand, though, Moonstone as well has the Ornn, has the Talia, also these champions that love to fight in those skinny areas that they can trap other characters with the walls and with those Ornn horns. So I'm excited to see how these team fights start to play out once these champions have their ultimates and we're getting kind of some of those larger 4v4, 5v5 sort of situations.
Yeah, and the one thing I'm noticing here is that it's we're seeing a little bit of a different look from Moonstone than we saw last week, right? As you have the
Yes.
Ornn, you have this Tom Kench, you have the Senna, who they're gonna be kind of hard to kill, a lot more tanky than we're seeing in the previous drafts coming out from last week. So it's definitely going to be interesting because that's going to make these picks from love stage a bit harder, right? That increased tankiness, the increased ability to survive. And even Lee Sin, I assume Lee Sin will go like some sort of gore drink or death stance action where he's still going to be pretty tanky, pretty hard to bring down at a moment's notice. So I like the composition here from Moonstone, and they're going to be scaling, with the Senna TK, with the Ornn. But it does bear the question: are they going to have enough damage?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's true. And I mean, it's kind of ironic, I feel like, in a way, because I was just gonna say, looks like maybe they were listening in during the pro comp segment and looking, because they were missing engage, we talked about, right? Ornn is bringing a lot more of that to the table, even Talia as well, with the Weaver's Wall jumping in. They lacked a front line and they're bringing that again with the Ornn. So but then on the other hand, like you said, it does mean that they don't have as much damage, which they are typically very used to having. We look at Mommy's guy in the top lane for Moonstone. So far, the champions played are Kale, Zillion, Swain, and Camille. So definitely Ornn is off-brand for that. But with that being said, I think for quite some time, Ornn has sort of stood alone as kind of the top lane tank that continues to be worth picking just because of the value that he brings with the ultimate and then also the item upgrades, kind of scaling element of it as well. So I think, between the Lee Sin, with the Lee Sin as well being this early game oriented champion that falls off in damage, I'm definitely going to look for Ovo in the mid lane and PP Gao Shao in the jungle to be roaming around the map and, pushing the tempo with the Talia and Lee Sin, because that jungle mid 2v2 is really, really scary early in the game. It makes me afraid even thinking about playing into that, honestly. So
Yeah,
annoying.
yeah, it definitely reminds you of something that you've seen in Solo Queue somewhere that just runs you over in the first 5 minutes of the game.
Right.
Just with so much, you have the seismic shove from Talia, which is like so powerful, especially if it's used correctly. And on champions like Anivia who have no mobility, no way to escape, it does seem quite effective here. But we do have this draft figured out, and just looking at the compositions, I think both of these teams kind of got what they wanted.
Yeah, I think so. I still do think when we see, when we look at this composition, the bottom lane still has that really strong hard scaling element, which is something that Moonstone is liked to bring. I do think it's interesting having no attack being the one playing the Tom Kench. Certainly, Alanen has shown the propensity to play this champion, but I believe usually it's been alongside. Actually, I don't think they've had the Senna support. No, one time they did, but it was alongside Zeri. So my point is, this is a team that has depended on no attack to be a carry, and on Tom Kench, your ultimate certainly impactful, but you don't really have that agency to make things happen. So both team compositions have a really different sort of objective of way they want to play the game, and I think that will make for an exciting match once we get on to the Rift here in a few minutes.
Absolutely. It will be exciting. Game one of the series, this is the most important game. So we're going to hop into a break. But before we do that, I got to tell you guys about Pro Comps. Pro Comps is the first of its kind drafting tool aimed for competitive and solo queue play. Pro Comps allows users live feedback and analysis on drafting, give them recommendations on picks, notes on the matchups, and analysis on the enemy team's win cons. It even gives you that comp builder feature that we were showing you before the draft happened. These features allow you, the user, to gain an edge on their opponent and improve their drafting skills. Use code CCS for 50% off of the first 3 months of Pro Comps. You got to get it. And we're going to take a short break, but we'll be on to the riff for game number 1 between Moonstone Gaming and Nameless Love Stage. And we are on to the rift for game number 1 between Moonstone Gaming and Nameless Love Stage. On the blue side, we got Moonstone Gaming, Mommy's Guy on the Ornn in the top lane, PP Gaucho on the Lee Sin in the jungle, Ovo on the Talia in the mid lane, and Hard to Love and Alanin rounding out the bottom lane with the Tom Kench and the Senna.
And on the red side this time, we have Nameless Love Stage for the first time onto the Rift with that new team. We've got Basting in the top lane on Akali. We got Cade in the jungle on Jarvan. King Yeetloaf in the mid lane on Anivia. 0-2 on Tristana in the bot lane. It is Islamic Samurai playing the Rakan support. And we've just got some five-point spreads here coming out early on for both teams. And thinking a little bit about this Jarvan in the jungle Chains. I have been on a crusade throughout my casts thus far in CCS this split to basically shit on Jarvan as a champion and talk about why I think it's just not a very good jungler. I know that it's creeping up on the tier list a bit, but I just feel like it's so often. Maybe I did this last week too, but it just turns into this knock up and Cataclysm bot if you do not make the most of your early game capabilities on this champion. So we'll see what Cade can do if he can pull off any early ganks. I don't know. What's your opinion on Jarvan right now, Chains?
I think Jarvan is pretty good if you can play it well. I mean, you have to get ahead early on this champ. You have to make your presence known. And if you can get ahead and you can start, snowballing your team, I think the champ is really good. It brings a lot of CC in the later game. Cataclysm is super nice. And, I think there's a lot of good to this champ, but it has to be played correctly.
Yeah. Well, and one thing I will say is that I think, to the point of playing it correctly, I think the ultimate is a lot harder to use than a lot of people, realize, just because right now, the number of champions at this point in the game who have mobility to get out of the Cataclysm is, so many. So you have to time it correctly around, movement abilities, or, play it into team comps. Honestly, like the one that they're playing against now. Is Yeetloaf taking a bad trade there? But where this, Tom Kent sure can eat Senna, but doesn't probably will not be able to get out of there in time to actually keep her safe. So actually get her out of the area. So I think I like the J4 at least for that alone.
Yeah, definitely, and I think it's good because that's what you're saying. Here we go. Cade into the bottom lane. We'll see if he can find the flag and drag. Knockup is on to Hard to Love. Just some damage though. So a lot is traded back onto this Rakan. And yeah, early gank doesn't burn anything from Jarvan is not the best sign.
Yeah, and I think that it's a little bit of a flaw in planning. I understand wanting to gank around the Rakan who has a little bit of setup, but Tristana is always going to push forward in pretty much any lane. But meanwhile, in the top lane,
Basing could be in trouble here. Does not get the shuriken flip over the wall, but takes it again. And yeah, this should just be a dead Akali here. As first blood, gonna go over to PP Gaucho and Moonstone.
And the Akali going down early is really big for Ornn. As long as Ornn can possibly buy for himself without being pressured out of the lane by the kill threat from Akali, the better. And I think that if you're a good enough Ornn and you can get ahead, you should be able to, withstand through that 1v1 and not really worry about.
Stun lands in this mid lane as Ovo has to flash away, but Kate's gonna follow up with the flash. We'll see if they have enough damages. King Yeetloaf flashes as well. The last auto, it's enough. And King Yeetloaf is gonna find the return kill and tie up the score 1-1.
And credit to Cade, nice pathing, pretty unexpected. I got caught at least off guard with the angle that he came through. He did give me almost a little bit of a heart attack, canceling that, or not taking that last auto attack. I thought that Ovo is maybe going to get away, but Yeetloaf does end up securing the kill, so is the good guy jungler just giving the kill over to the mid lane for this Anivia. So that is nice to get that pressure onto the Talia, because if Talia gets the early pressure and is able to take the early push in and get the early roam, we know how powerful this champion is when she can get out of lane with her passive, the speed she can get. And then also is almost level 6 already, so with that wall as well. So I will look for Ovo to make a play when he does, or when she does ding that level 6 here soon. We'll see. I'm trying to look at the XP here. Looks like, yeah, that should, within this wave for sure, that will happen for the Talia. So we'll see if they try to make a play around mid or where, or anywhere. I don't know. Mommy's guy also with the level 6. So already those team fight tools online from Moonstone.
Yeah, team fight tools here, and this Call of the Forge God is so impactful. And I mean, look at the level difference right now in this top lane, 6-4 in favor of Mommy's Guy. Yeah, there's a big wave crashing, so Fasting's going to be able to pick some of that up and sort of get some of that XP back. But nonetheless, just a monstrous lead right now in this top lane for Moonstone Gaming. We'll see if that can be equalized on the bottom side of the map here, as Cade still on this bottom side. Infernal Dragon is the first one on the menu for game number 1 of the series. And with this early push in, we see PP is also in this area, and they're going to roam up, try and find Cade, but shouldn't be anything there.
Yeah, I got excited for a second because both junglers were around this bot lane, but it looks like instead they're both going to just kind of try to handshake it. Although, no, it does still look like Cade maybe he's trying to wait in the wings here to try to make something happen, or, Joe just go back to this dragon. And this is where Anivia does excel now that she has level 6 at controlling these choke points and these entrances to dragon. She's just going to go back mid, shove it in, and that's going to force Talia back to the turret. So I do like this Anivia pick for the denial. The way that it denies Talia from doing what she wants to do and roaming around the map, because she's constantly been shoved into her turret, and it is going to result in the first dragon of the game going over to Nameless Love Stage.
Top lane. Forge God comes in. I don't think, there's nothing here though. No mana.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's interesting because I think the way I usually think about Ornn is, Ornn wants to be in matchups.
0-2 walking in really far, really close, almost melee range to the Tom Kench. Gonna get punished pretty hard. There's gonna take a lot of HP, about half HP. Right. But look at PP Gasha could be caught. Has to burn the flash over the Cataclysm. Follows up by Cade. And Cade's gonna find the kill on the enemy jungler here. Basting, looking for a solo kill, going in under the tower, flashing. Isn't enough damage. Oh, it doesn't look like it, and that is an absolute disaster for Akali in the top lane. Bad goes to worse.
And it's just I was just trying to say, that what Ornn wants to do is just sustain through these matchups, and that is the most feels good moment ever for Ornn when, that your lane opponent kind of has this pressure that, they're supposed to, beat on Ornn in lane because Ornn is, a fairly weak laner, and theoretically Akali should, but you just cannot greed for the kill there because, now for Mommy's Guy up, 21 CS, already has his mythic item completed for the Ornn at 8 minutes and 40 seconds. So that is pretty insane for this Ornn, who should just be kind of, I don't want to say necessarily unkillable, but I mean, damn near for quite a bit of this game, most likely, because it's only going to get harder from here.
Yeah, and absolutely. And with this strong top lane for Moonstone Gaming right now, you can see that PP Gashro wants to move up into this top side and secure the Herald. But Cade is also in the area, so for now, nothing yet. But they're going to meet each other in this river, and here we go. Challenging Spike comes through as the kick goes back, taking the Sonic Wave as Cade's going to have to flag and drag out. Very low, as the Dawning Shadow is not going to find the damage there. And that is the Nameless jungler completely chunked out, and that should be the start of this Rift Herald.
Yeah, so nice reply. And 0-2 just going to be able to hop out. Nice reply. And Gaoshu, knowing that he's a level down, but he's still able to take that fight. Eatlove, though, you can see why.
Oh my gosh, 0-2 is getting chunked out. Yeah. More fighting. Yeah, look at the. I mean, how is Akali ever going to survive this lane now?
Yeah, that's the thing, is that, from now on, if Akali doesn't have kill threat, Ornn just wins the lane so hard, especially as long as he's sort of taking these short trades when, around his abilities being up. But he has a lot of flexibility as 0-2 just getting punished by the range here.
Oh, but Cade's here. We'll see. Grand Entrance going to find the trauma to 2. Flag and drag is Hard to Love, gets the eat. Onto Alan and is now looking for this Tristana. Hard to Love's going to go down to the Ignite from Exam Samurai, and Alanan is next on the table. Will fall as King Yeetloaf finds a second kill of the game.
Yeah, and, it looked like 0-2 was making a lot of mistakes there, but at the end of the day, it's a classic bait, obviously.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's just rough. Another solo kill in the top lane for Mommy's Guy.
Yeah, I feel like that's like if there's anything that's like a badge of dishonor for a top laner, it's getting a or it's dying solo to Ornn. I would say. But also, to be fair, it was Mommy's Guy did opt into this Ornn matchup. You know, they knew the Akali was going to be in the top lane, and they had picked that one on R3, and so then on R4 Moonstone did go for it. So Mommy's Guy did opt into the matchup. It wasn't like this was Basting's chosen counter pick or anything like that. And Ovo, though, getting some nice damage. I think I have been a little bit disappointed in the Talia so far this game. Hasn't really had very much impact. I think a lot of that is Yeetloaf just doing a nice job of negating, but I'd like to see Ovo start to get some roams going on sooner rather than later.
I would have liked to see this Herald drop top lane, to be honest with you. Crack that tower up and you know, maybe force a swap here. Get these laners out of these matchups, but nonetheless, or even just saving the Herald for literally 20 seconds longer and then using it to, you know, gain priority for this dragon. But nonetheless, I mean, Moonstone is just all about this bottom side river here, and you know, Bastig is in the top lane smacking away at the tower as Mommy's Guy's down here for this dragon. But you know, nonetheless, the dragon should get evened up here. And we'll see what soul we get. Not going to be Hextech, not going to be... Oh my gosh. Joshua going in. But nothing there. As Rakan's very slippery, and this dragon should be going down. Like I said, not going to be Hextech or not going to be Infernal.
Yeah, and Mommy's Guy, yeah, he's around there because he does have the teleport, which he now will utilize to go into the top lane. But I think that's one of those situations. I guess he didn't know. He doesn't have as much information as we do about Basting's teleport, which isn't up yet. But I think it would have been better for him to go up there because I think the team could have taken a 4v4. He could have.
Oh, rocket jump canceled. Oh, good take Alan then as well. And the Moonstone bottom lane is smurfing right now. Mommy's Guy could be in this 1v2 situation, 1v3 actually, as Yeetloaf has walked all the way up here. They might look for a dive as Kate is posturing behind the tower, but instead just going to take away camps for the time being.
Wow. No attack is 0-2's father. That was I mean, okay, let's be real. Like, it was unlucky a little bit, I think. I don't know that for the Tom Kench W, or rather it was misplayed by 0-2 to let that happen, I feel like. Because I feel like if you just buffer the jump. Anyways. I don't know that how well
it looks good. It looks
maybe
good.
If you're core JJ, but
it looked good. It looked good. That's all that matters.
It's true. It's true. You're right. I'm hating too much. I've been hating too much tonight. Right, Chains?
It's okay. It's okay. It happens.
You know, except on pro comps, of course. But other than that, you know.
I mean, that's something that's there's some things that are impossible to hate on. You know what I mean?
It's true.
Garlic bread, pro comps, world peace.
Yep. CCS. You know.
CCS. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. Rye Chains and Elsa cast.
Absolutely. That should be at the top of the list.
True. I don't know.
That's number one.
That first.
That's number one on the list.
That goes without saying, you know. But we have time to talk about these wonderful things because there has been a little bit of a lull here.
Oh,
Junglers are ending it.
Weaver's Wall coming through. Cade's in trouble. No flag and drag. Seismic Show's going to go wide, but the Cataclysm comes through. Lands onto two, but the kick flash is going to deliver Cade into the rest of the Moonstone squad. And now Obo could be in trouble here. Oh my gosh, Rakan tried to jump in through the stones from Obo as Obo's going to fall on the backside as Basting has now joined the party. Sonic Wave is going to land here, and Mommy's Guy's doing a good job of zoning out this Akali from the play, but 0-2 is in trouble here. They're just diving in this bottom lane, and Aladdin's going to pick up a kill. First tower is going to go down in bottom lane in favor of Moonstone Gaming, and the gold lead is now 3.4 thousand as we pass the 15-minute mark.
Yeah, and this game gets really, really tough now for Tristana because 0-2-0, you know, does have a little bit more CS. Actually, although now they've swapped, so it doesn't actually really. Basically, Tristana at this point in the game is not long enough range that when she's behind, she's able to really stand up and effectively farm. Like, especially in mid lane, like a lot of times around now, teams might lane swap their AD carry into the mid lane just to guarantee farm, but that would put Tristana in a very precarious position, especially if she does not have W up, obviously. But there's just so many different ways, so many things that Tristana needs to keep in mind to use her W for from Moonstone that it's very, very dangerous. So I guess the one upside is with the turret going down, 0-2 sometimes is going to be able to sit in the bot lane and farm. But of course, Tristana with the passive on her E struggles to freeze as a champion. So isn't able to slow the game down like some other ADs are.
Yeah, and Cade now is in trouble again, getting kicked back. But as long as Samurai's there for the save for the time being, 0-2 is going to get hit with some Lee Sin damage. And I mean...
No.
Alanin has the Kraken Slayer completed now, so this Senna is just going to be doing ridiculous amounts of damage here. Doing a check-in on the soul count right now, 73 for this Senna.
Yeah, and we can see No Attack 2 just standing right near Alanin all of the time, making sure that if he does end up getting caught, just able to gobble him up with the Tahm Kench ultimate. And with this, Senna having that many souls at this point, she's just able to hit Tristana and really anyone else who's going to enter the fight several times before they even have the chance to do so. Which just means that they're coming in with lower HP and already, on top of that, Moonstone is ahead. So it's looking really good. With that being said, there are limited damage sources, as you had pointed out earlier, Rychains, from Moonstone. So if Ovo, and more crucially, I think right now, Alanin do get caught early on in the fight and they are able to blow them up, there's plenty of sustained damage on the side of Nameless Love Stage to cut through the members eventually.
Mommy's guy headbutting, or face planting rather, right into that Anivkia wall, and we'll have to use the flash to get out of that sticky situation. But the dragon has spawned, and it is a mountain, which means we have Mountain Soul. And how nice would that be for Moonstone? Just additional, survivability. And oh my gosh, but look at Ovo on the side. Flag and Drag is going to go wide as the College of Forge God does not find the knockups. Hard to Love is in the middle of 4 members. The other side of the fight, Cade's going to go down as Mommy's guy goes on a rampage. Basting, diving in, but a nice power by. Hard to Love as Nameless Samurai is finding knockups onto 2. And Basting trying to find the damage, but Alan is still full HP. Hard to Love is going to go down as now Basting's in the 1v2. Going to get kicked and taken down. Finally a 0-2. And King Yeetloaf for the last 2 members. A live flash over the wall. King Yeetloaf is going to fall as well. And it's 4-for-1 in favor of Moonstone Gaming. And they're going to secure their second dragon of the game.
And Moonstone was just able to kite back so effectively there after the initial engage of the fight in order to keep Alanin alive for such an extended period as we go into the replay.
0-2. Wait. 0-2's not almost dying. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. All right, now we can check this out.
Yeah, so going back into this replay, we can see that we just got a little bit of a standoff from the beginning here, but then Cade just getting separated from the rest of the team, trying to go for a pick, but doesn't have backup from the rest of the squad. And then, at this point, it's just very, very split up. And actually, I'll say the MVP of this fight for Love Stage has to be Basting, who exists in this backline for a really surprising amount of time and ends up taking down No Attack by the end of the fight. So that is encouraging to see from the Akali, but as you can see, the rest of the fight, they're able to kite it out, and Moonstone Gaming, they are playing out their composition in that situation exactly how it's meant to be played.
Absolutely, yeah. Moonstone coming out on top of that team fight, extend their goalie to about 5k now, as Ovo could be in trouble. Has to flash away, as Cade is also in the area top lane. But for now, the Moonstone mid laner stays alive.
One thing that was pretty unfortunate in the mid lane when we had to jump out of the replay was, Mommy's guy does end up going down, and it was, I believe, 850 gold with the extra bounty going over to Cade, who last hit it. Definitely feel like could have been given over to 0-2 since he did have the bomb, or the Ornn did have the bomb on his head and was stuck in the Cataclysm. So you really would have wanted to have that on the Tristana, but it is what it is. I do think that the Tristana is going to be a huge factor here for Nameless Love Stage if they want to get back into the game, because I don't think people think of Tristana the same way that we used to with the old Tristana as far as scaling, when she used to be, so strong scaling. But her scaling is still really, really good, especially once she can get to sort of like the 3-item mark, with an Infinity Edge and another item picked up, probably some attack speed item. So, that could be a win condition here. As a big damage dealer, it's just going to be about whether or not Yeetloaf and 0-2 can stay alive in these fights through that big initial burst of damage that um, Moonstone's composition provides.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think it does kind of become hard for this Tristana to play as this game goes on. I mean, I guess it's going to depend on how Basting is actually able to play these fights. If he can drag 3 members like he did in that last, fight, I think it becomes a lot easier for 0-2 to actually play this game. But, it's quite hard, and you feel kind of like you're biting into granite as a Tristana if you're, trying to hit a Ornn and a Kench. Like, it doesn't feel like you're doing anything, really.
Yeah, and I think that in like games like this, Tristana needs to be played almost more so like an assassin type character, where really you're just sitting back. You don't necessarily need to be autoing at the beginning of the fight if it means like, because you just can't go down. You just need to bide your time and wait for your team to set up the pins for you so you can knock them all down, which theoretically Anivia is pretty good at. But yeah, no, you're right. Like, if Tristana is just sitting on, hitting Ornn in the front line all day, then she's never going to be able to get anything done. What she wants to do is just ignore Ornn and be last hitting, these champions and just bouncing around.
Oh my gosh. Obo taken into the Cataclysm here, but that's a beautiful kick from PP Gaosho. Teleport now coming in from Basting as it's going to be a party. Obo should fall here as the Shuriken flip takes him down with the last, or takes her down with the last hit, as it's a 3v2 in this top lane. King Yeetloaf has joined the party. Gaosho taken very, very low, as should go down. Yes, will, as Alanin now joins the party, takes one on the backside as King Yeetloaf has to flash away to safety. Basting versus and King Yeetloaf versus Mommy's guy and Alanin, but Alanin finds a double kill and Yeetloaf has to run for the hills. The bird is flying away as fast as they can, and that's another team fight victory for Moonstone.
It looked really good for a while for Nameless Lump Stage, but keep in mind that Alanin was not there at the beginning of the fight, arriving very, very late after the Talia and the Lee Sin had already fallen down. So had there been a true 5v5 fight there, I think it would have been even more dramatically in the favor of Moonstone Gaming. And Mommy's guy is taking advantage of the lead that he got in the beginning of the game with the early attention from PP Gaosho, getting that early gank. Basting definitely has turned it around and looked a lot better in the team fight phase than in the lane phase, but Mommy's guy hasn't let that limit his impact on the game with this Ornn. 6-1-3, looking just absolutely unkillable now with that Force of Nature completed, as well as I did 3 items already completed. Knight's Vow definitely a cheaper item, obviously, but wow.
Oh, double knockup from Mommy's guy as the Weaver's Wall comes in. King Yeetloaf is gonna go egg quite quickly as Islamic Samurai is gonna find the charm onto 2. Quickness comes in as 0-2 is instantly stunned when he jumps into the fight. Basting now trying to dive the backline, but a double kill comes through for Allen, and Islamic Samurai is next on the table. Will fall a triple kill. 0-2 is gonna get knocked up, and the Quadra is going to be taken away by Mommy's guy, but nonetheless, 4-0 in favor of Moonstone Gaming, and this is going to be their sole point.
Yeah, it's sole point for Moonstone Gaming. If I was them, I actually just would have run straight over to the Baron. I think they
can do both.
I think they think they can just take both of them, which they probably can. So they're just going to run over, grab that objective, and the rest of this game is pretty much a formality at this point, because Moonstone just so far ahead at this point, able to provide so much peel and safety for the damage dealers in this game, and it has been Alanin in the spotlight on this Senna, 7, 1, and 6. Rage Blade completed alongside the Worm Fallen Sacrifice here after it's been upgraded by the Ornn. And yeah, I mean, yeah, Moonstone, I feel like we spent the pregame kind of basically throwing some shade on their comps because they are, really bizarre. But I think maybe it seems like I think they take Love Stage maybe a little bit more seriously than some of their other opponents. I think Love Stage is thought of as a top half team in this Wednesday conference, and especially coming off the loss on stream last week to Omega Gaming. Moonstone, they they need to turn it around. I think they're actually dialing into play this time, not just kind of like a solo queue fun team comp.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and just Moonstone looks very, very clean in this game, and I have a feeling that has a lot to do um, with hard to love and no attack in this game. I feel like the shot calling has got to be very, very decisive
Yep.
from him, and having a player of that caliber who also happens to play in the Diamond League is something that can't be overlooked.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely having that sort of leadership, both as far as just your actual skill at the game, but then also like competitive experience as well, is really significant. And I think Moonstone as a whole, coming in, they did.
Whoa. Gausha looking for this 1v2 as the Forge God has been called. Cataclysm is only onto one as Cade is going to walk into an Ornn. PP Gausha is going to find Cade, and here we go. We'll see as King Yelof gets munched. Devour comes through, and the King has been slain. Alanan is legendary. There's only 3 members left as Bastards running for the hill. 0-2 and Islamic Samurai are the last 2 members left in this base, and there's only one now as Islamic Samurai has to try and run for the hills. Dragon's Rage not going to get enough damage to execute there. And Nameless has to walk away with their tail between their legs here, and Moonstone is going to start cracking this base open.
Yeah, and Gausha, even with Gausha whipping the engage, second half of Ornn's ultimate not activated from Mommy's guy, it doesn't even matter. And honestly, Yeetloaf and 0-2 just doing minimal damage at this point. Basting still trying to do what he can on the Akali, but not enough given the tough start to the game he had.
Cade going in, yeah. Cade's gonna die.
Yeah.
Off of that engage. Mid inhib has fallen. Top inhib has fallen as well. Things are looking very, very rough for Nameless here, but they're going to try and get a team fight victory off the back of this. Islamic Samurai goes in, just going to get taken down instantly here. Forge God's going to find one knockup, and Basting is the target on the menu. We'll see if they can find him, as they should be able to. Is just trying to buy some time and stall out, but there are just waves all over the place here as the Nexus Towers are under siege. The Nexus Towers are going to be falling soon if they don't want to chase it after these kills. But Moonstone Gaming gonna take game 1 of this series in relatively, in pretty commanding fashion, I would say.
Yeah, definitely.
Cade trying for it. Cataclysm on the 2. Did you know that Ornn headbutt opens up Cataclysm?
Oh,
it breaks
really?
the wall. Yeah. Oh, Islamic Samurai with this.
I did know that.
Oh, nice Devour there.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Okay.
The Nexus finally falls. It's official. Moonstone takes game 1.
Yeah, it looks a little bit sloppy in the end, but actually on the other hand, I do feel like they were pretty decisive as far as, choosing to want to end the game in that moment, which is something that I do like, knowing the limits of your team composition and of the players that you do have. But they were also just so far ahead at that point. Looks like they were about 16k gold in the front at that point. So for Moonstone, picking up the victory in game 1, coming off a loss, has to feel good. Especially going into game 2, feeling like they played a very different style here than they've played in the past, and it was very successful. So, they have a lot of tools at their disposal as far as what they want to do next in the draft. And Moonstone is a team that has very high expectations, did lose in the finals of the lock-in tournament coming in. So beating Love Stage here would be big for them, proving that they're back on track to do what they want to, which is win this Wednesday Platinum division. But excited to see what Nameless Love Stage can come up with in response.
Absolutely, and we will see what Nameless Love Stage comes up with. But first, we're going to take a short break before we get into the pick and ban for game number 2. So grab some water, get a snack, do what you got to do, and we'll be back in a few minutes for game number 2. And we are back for the pick and the ban of game number 2 between Nameless Love Stage and Moonstone. We got a side swap for this game. So now Nameless is on the blue side, Moonstone is on the red side, and bans are coming through. Seraphine and Leeson taken off the table by Nameless, and Poppy and Silas taken off the table by Moonstone. Moonstone sticking with the same bans.
Yep. Yeah, seeing similar bands coming through from both sides here. Most of these champion, some kind of particular picks, the Seraphine and the Poppy are just both really strong, generally speaking. And Malzahar is going to be a target ban against Close, who's coming in for Yeetloaf in the mid lane. But really quick here, we got the Sivir picked up for Nameless Love Stage. And actually, during the break, I was reflecting on, why did they not choose to pick Sivir in that last game? I guess it kind of might struggle a little bit as far as the range against Senna, but Sivir very strong right now. And I know 0-2 has favored that in the last week. But on the other side, Moonstone is going to stick alongside that Senna, which has worked for them time and time again. And it is going to be alongside the Kiana as well.
Yeah, Kiana's a pick we're not seeing too much anymore. But definitely does have, some moments where you get those big 5-man supreme display of talent ultimates, and Kiana has very unexpected burst damage that can come out. So definitely looking forward to seeing where this Kiana's taken. I assume it'll be in the mid lane for Ovo, but you never know anymore.
Yeah, you never know, for sure. I know, recently the first strike Kiana was uh outlawed due to some issues with that. So I think that that is still the case. So hopefully we don't see first strike coming through. But I know that also electrocute is also an option on Kiana as well. But
Interesting.
now we see Viego and Zillion locked in, and then oh gosh, we got so many. So both of these teams just picked so many of these supportive kind of. Okay, all right though. Oh, oh, they're just playing it. I thought they're playing with my heart with the Blitzcrank swap, and
We'll
all
see.
that.
We'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
But I'm interested to see whether they're gonna give Alanen, the Senna again, or if, it's more of an angle where they're gonna give it to no attack and picking up their support. Certainly they could be Karma Senna bot lane, but Karma could also be in the mid lane as well. So, they still have a lot of flexibility there. For both teams, really, honestly, with the Zillion too, being able to be flexed.
Yeah, and what I'm wondering here is if this Kiana can actually go jungle. And I'm looking at the PP Gaoshao's match history, and there are 6 Kiana games from a while back, but they are there. So it could, there's still a lot of flex potential going on here with this Karma can be taken into the mid lane, Kiana can be taken into the jungle. So, you know, a lot is left to be seen still.
Yeah.
With these second stages of bans, second phases of bans coming through, Akali taking off the table, taking that away from Basting from last game, Gangplank as well. So for the time being, just a lot of top bans, and we'll see what these last bans are from each team. And
Yeah,
I
we'll
mean,
see.
I assume, yeah,
And
top
we'll see if they
ones.
try to take away maybe another control mage from the mid lane here at all. But nope, it is actually just going to be Aatrox instead. So just trying to limit Basting. So what that tells me is that they do want to blind pick their top lane right here from Moonstone.
Yeah.
We look at the suggestions, from pro comps right now. Um, you can see that some options would be, I'm looking at it on my screen and I'm just dictating it to you. We see that we could have, Scion as a possibility, Gnar as a possibility, Gragas, Ornn, and Olaf. So, some of these sort of blind pickable champions. But as I say that, I could be totally wrong as Swain is being hovered, but Swain, I just need to not talk about champions until they're actually being picked. Because they are just going nuts. But so maybe they won't. Maybe they're just trying to limit it even for the last pick because they have something unexpected in mind for top lane, and they just want to pick mid here. I do really think that the Kiana is going to go into the jungle just because Ovo, this Lux seems definitely like a pick for them, and also obviously at this point
Ooh,
they don't really have a top laner. So, but there you go. That's
Yumi
really throwing
Darius.
it down.
Oh my
Yumi. No,
goodness.
I
All
mean
right.
Darius.
Yeah. So
Okay, blind pick Darius though.
Is this so? Lux locked in leads me to believe it's going to be Karma mid again.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I know that in the lock-in tournament we saw Ovo just absolutely crushing kids on the Lux, so definitely is a possibility to go mid, but not sure as we do go down to 0 seconds. What? Okay,
Ash.
Karma top lane and then Ashe and yeah, Senna bot. Okay, well, I said they didn't have a top laner, so
It
of
could
course,
it could also be Ash. It could also be Ash Lux bot.
that's true. That's
Senna
true.
mid.
Good point. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
There's a lot
Absolutely.
of
And
options.
honestly, okay, so back to basics, back to the beginnings here for Moonstone Gaming. No tanks. Oh yeah, don't need them. It was too much last game. That Ornn clearly didn't do anything and was not part of the win whatsoever. But no, I mean at the Karma top is at least going to bring. I mean, it has to be Karma top, pretty much. I say that, and it might be my famous last words, but Karma top does bring more uh tankiness, I guess. But I mean, to the team in that it's just bringing those sort of shields and heals through, but not doesn't provide the front line ability that the Ornn does, and also doesn't provide the engage, kind of the point and click or engage at will sort of style that they were able to play in the last game. But with that being said, this time, no, well, I was going to say no attack, but it could be no attack or Alan, and somebody's going to be playing Ashe. And even though it's a very different sort of engage than the Ornn brings, it is, it is still that long range engage that allows you to sort of dictate when you want to make picks and start fights for Moonstone. With all that being said, though, when we look over at the other side here for Nameless Love Stage, looking at Darius as a champion that absolutely feasts on squishy champions. Once he's able to reset that ult one time, he's going to be able to do like half of the health bar of the rest of the team. Now, with that being said, that's a big if. Karma is pretty annoying to play
Yeah.
against in lane as Darius if the Karma is kiting it correctly. So but looking at Darius and then also looking at Sivir, there is a lot, and Viego even as well, there is a lot of potential to burst through squishy targets, especially with resets from the top side of the map. And if they can reset in some of these team fights, they can, absolutely, delete Moonstone off the face of the planet in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, this will be an interesting one. I think Karma is actually okay. Yeah, I mean, like you said, Karma's can do a pretty good job of cutting out the Darius. It just kind of depends on like the first 3 levels.
Yep.
Um,
And the
if
jungle attention is going to be
yeah,
huge.
yeah. So if Karma walks up too close or takes a bad trade, like Bastion's gonna be able to run over this lane completely. And so we got so Lux is locked in this mid lane. Ashe Senna into the bottom lane. So nothing too crazy that nothing too crazy like Senna mid
Yeah,
or
it's
something like
true.
that, like we were talking about. But um, still very, like you said, very very squishy composition here. I assume that Karma will go some sort of tank supportive build, just to have any sort of front line at all. But it does seem pretty difficult for Moonstone to play this game. When you have On the Hunt from Sivir, when you have Final Chapter from Yumi, and even just to speed up some Zillion. I mean, Nameless is gonna run over them, I think, in these team fights.
Yeah, I think I definitely think that they should theoretically have the ability to run them over. With that being said, we have seen Moonstone run these bizarre compositions and be successful with it. They ran through a lot of the lock-in tournament with compositions similar to this, and they were able to win in their week 1 matchup with compositions similar to this. So I think again, it's like a little bit of an ego thing, almost maybe from Moonstone, because if you can play this composition optimally, it definitely should win just because you're going to outrange your opponent 10 times out of 10. But if you start to fall behind, you're eventually just going to get absolutely run over. And not even necessarily if you just fall behind. I think that here for Nameless Love Stage, they're going to just want to sit back. They have the Sivir, they have the Zillion to just kind of stall the game until they can find those fights where finally Darius and hopefully Viego can pop off with their resets.
Yeah, absolutely. And just, piggybacking off what you said with the range advantage, it's pretty difficult to play these compositions where you're just outranging your opponents so heavily. Um, because of the fact that you have to be early to every objective, you have to set up every
Mhm,
fight even more than if you
mhm.
didn't have a composition like this. So a lot of onus here on Moonstone Gaming to see what they got, and we are going to find out shortly. But first, we're going to take a small break to get through the competitive integrity spectator delay. We're going to be on to the Rift shortly for game number 2 between Nameless Love Stage and Moonstone Gaming. Don't go anywhere. And we are back onto the Rift for game number 2 between Nameless Love Stage and Moonstone Gaming. We got a side swap. So for this game, Moonstone Gaming on the red side here. Mommy's guy in the top lane on the Karma. PP Gasha on the what's the champ called? Kiana in the jungle. Ovo on the Lux in the mid lane, and Hard to Love and Alanin rounding out the bottom lane with the Ashe and the Senna.
And for Nameless Love Stage, Basting is on the Dirty Daddy Darius in the top lane. We got Cade with Viego in the jungle. Close coming in for the close in this series with the Zillion 0-2 on the Sivir and Islamic Samurai playing the most honorable champ in the entire game, Yuumi. And another very boring level 1 here from both of these teams. Not anything interesting, but luckily, PP Gaoshu did take whatever it's, I can't remember. You know, that champion is just destroying my memory of everything.
Electrocute.
I wanted to say, I keep trying to say Thunderlord's Decree. I don't know why they changed the name of it when they changed the runes or whatever. You remember that one or not?
Of course.
Boomer?
Of course.
Thunderlord's Decree was where it was at, dude.
It was
every
blue.
champion in the game took that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Okay.
Mommy's guy gonna find Basting in that tri-bush, and that is 5 stacks of the passive applied. So it's a good start for Basting in the top lane.
It is going to be a good start, and that is the price that you pay for leashing your jungler, but also against Darius if you're not seeing him in lane. I just really think it kind of honestly just makes me a little bit worried for Mommy's guy, because it displays a little bit of a lack of knowledge about how to properly play against Darius. Though I'm sure any plat player has played more games than they probably ever want to in their life against Darius, but just a little error coming through. But now that Karma does have the level 2, it's just all about that kiting. And speaking of kiting, that's it. Talk about how this team composition from Moonstone is so difficult to play, and that's what it really, really requires, is using the CC abilities that they have between these ranged champions, to move outside of the enemy range. So it's going to be about the accuracy on a lot of these skill shots.
Okay.
And it's also going to be about the warding. Like you said, Rychain's about, setting up for objectives. You can never afford to walk into the enemy team without vision with this kind of squishy team that they have put together. So the early ward there from Mommy's guy is going to come in clutch, because as long as you can see, Karma very good at running away from the enemy team. But if you cannot, it's a different story.
Absolutely. And Gasho trying to set up, might look for this dive ball and just taking away the Krugs for now. But I mean, 3 combat summoner spells for this Nameless love stage bottom lane does make it a little bit hard to just straight up fight. But here we go, 0-2, a bit overextended. We'll see if the spell shield is true. Gets the root. A 0-2 had to burn the flash, and Islamic Samurai burns that exhaust. So 2 summoners down for 0. And that's going to be a positive for Moonstone Gaming.
Yeah, and it means that this bottom lane will definitely become a target for the regank with this Sivir, who should be fairly bullied by this Ashe and Senna throughout the course of this lane. And one of the key cooldowns to look at in this is going to be 0-2's spell shield on the Sivir, because especially once the Ashe arrow comes into play, that'll be huge. But
oh, nice gank. Oh, nice flash from Ovo, getting away from the Viego flash E as well. And yeah, no casualties still. About a 300 gold lead right now for Nameless, just from farming and wave states and such. But no kills on the table yet.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, the spell shield, I do want to point out also that 0-2 does opt for the cleanse, which absolutely makes sense in this matchup. So it's not all on that spell shield, but they do have the, there we go, as he spell shields the bind, which is the first one I wanted to mention, and then of course also the Ashe having the arrow. And also, I guess something that I didn't mention coming out of the gate is No Attack opting for the ghost summoner spell choice here. So Rychain's with the bot lane expert, walk us through this rune, or this summoner spell choice. Is this a common thing nowadays that the kids are doing?
I feel like I'm seeing a lot more AD carriers taking ghost, and I think with Ashe it just kind of makes sense because the autos have that built-in slow already. So and looking at the team comp that you're facing into, it's going to be really hard. You want to kite a lot, but here we go. Mommy's guy going to get ganked here as the flash is utilized, gets away from the stun, but the pull back comes through, and this is a lot of damage being taken. No flash is available, and the first blood comes through for Basting in the top lane.
Basting picking up the first blood, and last game was
Oh.
playing the Akali into the Ornn and felt like he, there was so much pressure on him to win that 1v1 matchup and ended up just inting to the tower, really just failing in the lane phase. This time it's going to be the opposite, getting that jungle attention from Cade, and they are going to trade on the other side for Moonstone. They will pick up the first dragon of the game, which will be a Hextech. So really annoying to actually kill the Hextech just because of the amount of damage it does, but they'll have it. They'll be fine with those 3. But now with the Darius accelerated with the 1 kill being picked up early, able to pick up the early Merc treads as well, which allows him to not be quite as slowed and not rooted for so long against Karma, always trying to be on top of that Karma for sure. And Karma also with the flash being down, Darius has his available, hasn't hit level 6 yet. At that level 6 mark, I would definitely look for Darius to try an all-in.
Yeah, absolutely. And just going back to this point of with the Ashe taking the ghost. I mean, oh wait, hold on. Level 6 comes through here. Oh, Hook does not find the mark there from Basting. So Mommy's guy lives for the time being, but yeah, I think just the kiting potential with Ghost is very, very big. And in a team composition where you just want to kite, I mean, might as well just spec all the way into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes sense. And also, I mean, the one thing I will say is Alanin then taking the heal, which, absolutely it makes sense, that you want that with the Ashe and Senna in the bot lane. But what it does mean is that they don't have any exhaust on this team. So I would definitely want an exhaust against this Darius for sure. Not, it's not 100% necessarily per se, but I just think like, when he's getting into their face, it could be, difference between life and death. They also don't have an ignite either. So not able to have that, reduce that healing coming through from not only the Darius, but also to a lesser extent, the Viego as well. So we'll see, if that ends up coming into play, but just something to think about as well. As we've talked about the summoner spell choices for way too long now.
Well, there's not much else happening right now,
it's true.
so
It's true.
It is a time where you just kind of have to fill it out. But 3 minutes until this next dragon spawns, and it's going to be a Basting flashing forward. But look at this. PP Gausho is here and ready with the supreme display of talent, and Basting goes down.
And I just do not know why that was the moment for Basting. We can see Cade is generally on this side of the map, but wasn't anywhere near there. They didn't have knowledge of where Gaushu was. And at the end, it's just, he ends up looking really silly, wasting the flash forward. And Cade will be here to pick up the wave under the turret, but that is going to be Mommy's guy accelerating further ahead in CS. Looking at the gold between these two, it is slanted towards the side of the Karma, even though Darius has managed to pick up that 1 kill. So, Mommy's guy, as long as he can stand strong and still, 1 death to a gank is fine. It's the point where Darius can start to basically make the lane unplayable for Karma and threaten turret plates, at which you become worried for Moonstone. So I think for now they're okay. They know that Karma has a lot of utility later in the game, but in the bot lane, I will say,
Chris Arrow. Well, yeah, burns the cleanse from 0-2 there, and good job by the bottom lane of Moonstone. Is you force out that spell shield and then you press the Ashe Arrow.
Yep, exactly. Absolutely. Yeah. It's good patience from No Attack to know when to use it and baiting out the spell shield first. Absolutely. But, and so now the Sivir doesn't have cleanse. It is a pretty short cooldown, but I was just going to say, I think Sivir just feeling happy to sit down here and farm. Obviously, that's what Sivir wants to do, especially post-rework, a little bit more of this late-game crit Sivir. With the Yuumi, too, the amount of scaling that this duo has is huge. And spell shield again down. It is going to be a while though before that Ashe Arrow is back up. And speaking of these kind of minute runes and summoner spells, build choice sort of things, Sivir also picking up this early Sheen. It's pretty interesting to see that one as well. I just don't think of that. I don't think of that as a super early buy necessarily on Sivir, just because it delays your mythic item, but does obviously have that short-term burst of damage.
I've been seeing a lot of hold on here, it's Molly's guy. Maybe looking for the solo kill on the Basting here. Basting's gonna pop that ghost. Oh, hook flash away from there.
Good trade for Basting.
Yeah, so Summoner Spell trades across the top lane. No flash for Mommy's guy now. And going back to the Sivir, build situation here is, I believe Sneaky released a video talking about Sivir and how going PD was not the play. And I believe the conclusion was that Essence Reaver's second is like, the ideal situation. Because it makes those auto attacks hurt just that, a little more, and you actually feel like more of a champion in the early game. So that that should be going to Essence Reaver. And it will go into Essence Reaver. But nonetheless, I mean, I haven't tried it yet, but I've seen a lot of people go Essence Reaver, and it seems pretty good.
Yeah, there was actually, I believe there was some discussion of this recently in the CCS server, in which Zero2 was actually talking about building that Essence Reaver second, especially just because of the low quality of some other second item options for Sivir too. I just feel like mostly we don't see people build single components on AD carry as much as we used to in the past before Mythics were a thing.
Yeah,
Kiana ult looks exciting, but they are just going to end up, it's a zoning Kiana ult.
Yeah, I mean, the Kiana ulti secures the dragon, and the mountains rise once again on the rift here as we get our second mountain soul of the day. And Moonstone is already, in the driver's seat there, has those first two dragons picked up here, and now Mommy's guy gonna get hooked in. This could mean trouble, but the root comes through, and Ovo is in trouble here. The flash comes through from Cade with the stun, but a flash away from Ovo. Heartbreaker is gonna cut the space out, and that last E will come through, find the stun, and the rest of the kills is now Cade's going to take over the Lux body. Heartbreaker once more. Root does find the mark there, and Mommy's guy is in the area as well. Chrono Shift is going to buy some time, and will... Oh! That was nice play there by the rest of Moonstone Gaming, waiting out the Zillion ultimate, and then, finishing off Cade under the tower.
And it is still just an incredibly close game here with only 500 gold, 400, 500 gold, separating two teams, though there are two dragons on the side of Moonstone, so that is huge, huge scaling element. It is going to be, that other mountain soul, which again would be really big for Moonstone with the lack of durability that they have on this team. Being able to just have that additional shield that the Lux and the Karma can just add on to would be really, really big. But thinking about also, as we see some of these first items coming through, Ashe finishing that Blade of the Rune King as the first item definitely feels like a throwback to some Ashe builds of old with the old version of Blade of the Rune King. And then also as well for Moonstone, also Kiana grabbing the Eclipse, and then the Moonstone top lane for Karma. So pretty expected, I guess. I don't know. Again, the Blade of the Rune King feels like it must just be meta, because I know Blade of the Rune King is really OP, even though it's not something that I've necessarily seen a ton.
Yeah, and I think right now Bork is the craze on Ashe. First item, just because you get so much value out of it, and these two junglers are going to meet each other here. Stuns come through for both of them, and Mommy's guy is just starting to run away with this top lane matchup here. Oh, but Yumi's rooted. Chance Crystal Arrow? No. Does not find the mark, but now Basting could be in trouble. Gonna get rooted up. Supremacy of Talent is not gonna find the mark here, and the Mantra Q goes wide from Mommy's guy. So Basting is gonna survive and gouge. Mommy's guy now next on the table and should go down as well here. I think that's a shielding, running for the move speed, but no, it is not enough. And Cade finds the kill there. Just disaster for Moonstone.
And that is so bad for Moonstone, and a huge highlight there from Basting, as he just has the fancy feat with the Ghost to be able to walk, just dodge just over to the side of that Mantra Q from the Karma, and then from there they are able to win that fight. And that is just such a massive fight here for Nameless Love Stage. As you can see, Basting is
oh my god, he died. Execute.
Oh, he just couldn't he? I think he could have finished it. I think he could have had... Oh, no, he needed like 2 more auto attacks. Oh, I was just going to say, and with Basting, picking up the first turret as well, that gold was going to be so big for the Darius. And, it's not, it's not off the table. That turret is very close to going down, but it's not in his pocket yet, especially at least the first turret gold in particular. So that is a pretty big feels bad. Still, it is Nameless Love Stage holding the gold lead here, just about 100. So that did turn things around, and I think it just goes to show how Basting's going to be such a huge factor here.
Oh, but wait here. Look at this gank bot lane as the Dragon's coming up soon. 0-2 is in trouble using both of those summoner spells here, as well as the final chapter from Yuumi, and 3 summoners burned by Nameless. But look at that. Also 2 summoners burned, both of no attack summoners. And we're going to get a pause.
Yeah. We are going to get a pause. Not really seeing any sort of explanation for now. And sorry, I'm a little bit distracted, everybody, because I am just checking in on a couple of roster related questions that I did have about the subs coming in on this game, just making sure that everything is good to go.
We're looking good
for both these teams. And yeah, and I'm also checking. Okay, yep, we're looking great. Rychains, can you tell us about your career as a drummer? Because you've never told me about it before, and I'm very offended that I have to find out by having you move away from the camera.
Yeah, I mean, I started playing the drums in middle school, and basically played in bands all through middle school and high school, and then unfortunately when I went to college I couldn't take my drum set with me, so I stopped a little bit,
Okay.
But
are you currently in a band?
Currently I'm not, no.
Okay. What's the best band name that you've been a part of? Or like what's the band that you've been a part of with the best name is what I'm trying to say. Any bangers?
Not
Ryan
really.
the Chains?
No. I was never the namesake.
The drummer usually isn't the namesake.
But
the drummer is usually the one that just gets replaced, I feel like, over and over. But
yeah, we at one point we had a band called Spontaneous Combustion.
That's a good one. All right, yeah, come on, you did have a good one.
Pretty interesting. Yeah, but nonetheless, we're back. So perfect time. That was the perfect amount of time for the bit. But look at this. Cade now making his way into the bottom lane. Whoa, 4 members here too as Close is gonna get caught up. Nice double bomb, gonna find the stun, but look at this damage coming through. Supreme Swift Talent's gonna find the stun and take down Close before he can even use the ultimate. We're frozen again because of the pause, but
post-pause.
Dawning Shadow. Is it gonna hit? Oh, look at all this damage come through. It does, and a shutdown goes to PP. Gaosho, a triple kill for the Kiana. Make it a quadra. No. Is no attack gonna steal that one away, but look at that. 4 for 0, and Moonstone is reinvigorated in this game.
Yeah, Moonstone, it was so close throughout this game, and now they just bust it wide open with that team fight. Not only that, but they are going to be able to transition this straight into this third dragon, so they will be on soul point here at just 18 minutes into the game. Basting, we can see running up to the top lane, sprinting there as fast as he can to try to see if he can do the Herald before it goes down, but will, decide not to do it. A little bit too risky here. Moonstone, they didn't go over there, so he might have been able to get away with it. Maybe reconsidering, but all in all, now it is, finally we see our first real gold lead of the game, as it's going to be 2.1k in favor of Moonstone. So a little bit ahead for them, but as we talked about earlier, these team fights are going to continue to be very, very volatile as the Enchanted Crystal Arrow goes a little wide, because if the Darius can get a kill and reset, same with the Viego, if Sivir can sit in the back line, it's far from over, even though that fight was clean for Moonstone.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the Mountain Soul that could be coming in in about 4 minutes is going to help Moonstone a lot. I mean, immensely help Moonstone here. Close, going to get caught with the root. Final Spark deals some damage, but that Chrono Shift's still available, so not really any threat. As now Cade looking on the side And this is the final chapter coming through here, rooted on Allen, and
What?
will use the flash to get away. I don't know how he got out like that, but oh, here comes Basting Stun, lands on Allen, and CP comes through. Root gets Yuumi unattached, and Yumi's gonna go down. Look at the damage from PP Gaosho doing it all right now. As the Chrono Shift will respawn Basting. Root finds the mark here, but look at this bottom lane. They're scrapping, then 80 carry 1v1, and Hard to Love is going to take that one down. PP Gaosho going back in. Final Spark misses. Is it? No, they're all living on 1 HP.
Ooh. Yeah, and Moonstone.
Gaosho.
Ooh. Moonstone also has pretty low health bars here, but much higher than that of Nameless Love Stage, so they will be able to push in with this wave. They're going to pick up at least one tower, but both of the last two team fights, PP Gaosho has been absolutely huge with the AoE damage from this Qiyana, hitting 3 to 4 members with the ultimate and then following up with more damage as well. So really big coming out of the jungle. 2 items now completed, or already had been completed for the Qiyana, sitting on over 1,000 gold now as well. And Moonstone definitely feeling very happy about where they're sitting. 3 dragons up, 2.5 minutes until that soul does spawn, and they are sitting about 4k and a half K in the lead too. So gonna be on Nameless to try to field some kind of comeback.
Oh, but Basting trying to make the comeback himself, flashing forward, getting the stacks onto Allen. Now Dying Shadow. Oh, but he doesn't get the damage in time. No guillotine is available there. As now Close and Islamic Samurai looking for a double bomb. Is going to find the stun there, trying to find the damage as Chrono Shift is available again. Ovo is living from the heals and a double root. Ovo will go down to the bomb, but now it's a support battle, supportal combat in this top lane, a 0-2, and Mommy's Guy going at it. Mommy's Guy is going to win that one. It looks like even with the BM recall, Islamic Samurai is going to go down here as Allen and just stalling, delaying the inevitable, but Cade is on the way. So Allen has to run for the hills. We'll finish out as the Enchanted Crystal Arrow goes wide, and this should be a dead Senna, I assume. Nice sidestep of the root, but I don't really think it matters. Heartbreaker is available and will be used to get in. Stun flash away as the Supreme Display of Talent is going to find some damage. And Gaosho decides not to go for the 1v1 because of the resets.
Yeah, and I guess the one diamond in the rough for Nameless Love Stage right now is Cade on the Viego, and we saw there at the end how even Gaosho, who's, you know, very, very fed in this game with 5 kills, did not want to take the 1v1 with that Viego. You know, now that he's gotten, you know, eclipsed that level 11, 2 points into the ultimate, so a little bit of a shorter cooldown, able to reset it much easier. So this Viego, you know, I think, you know, Viego obviously has been heavily nerfed since last summer when when it first came out and was just extremely, well, when it was extremely dominant, and we don't really think of kind of those late game penta kills anymore from Viego, but it's absolutely a possibility if he can reset that R. So definitely looking at Cade here to try to still make something happen, and they are going to be forced to summon the Rift Herald here in the mid lane. I would imagine it was just about to run out. Not sure if it's going to get a charge or not, but kind of nice timing, I guess, as the dragon is coming up now.
Yeah, it is, and we'll see. You know, this is a potential Mountain Soul for Moonstone Gaming as Allen and trying to just hold this choke. Mommy's Guy's there as well here, but 5 members strong for both of these teams in this bottom side river. We'll see what ends up happening here as Cade looking for it. Watch the flashes. All sums available here. It's Enchanted Crystal Arrow is going to hit Bastic over the side. Dying Child is going to do a lot of damage as Final Spark as well. Bastic is 1 HP. He's going to go down as Cade tries to go in with the Chrono Shift. Will fall as well, but going to be revived soon as Allen finds a double kill on the backside. Cade is going to fall again, and that's a 3-for-0 in favor of Moonstone Gaming. Mommy's Guy looking for more. Going to get double bombed as Close and Islamic Samurai, the last 2 members remaining. The dragon is going to be theirs. The soul is going to be theirs. Mommy's Guy wants even more as he's trying to find Close under this tier 2 tower, but I don't think Close... Oh, wait, he finds the root. Barriers popped. Final Spark plus the Mantra Q is enough damage. Now Islamic Samurai going to burn the Ignite onto Mommy's Guy, but a double kill for this Karma. means that the late ace for Moonstone Gaming, they're wearing Mountain Soul and they are in full control of this game.
And right there, we see exactly how Moonstone wants to be able to play this composition with these squishy champions. They don't let Nameless Love Stage get in range to hit them before, they basically won the fight. There's the double root coming out very early from the Lux, followed up by the Senna CC, I believe, as well. And, after that, they're just able to dump so much damage down. They blow the Zillion ult on Decade, who really just has to jump in to try to die. And then, from there, it's really a pretty easy fight from Moonstone Gaming. And it just goes to show how they do have mastery of how to play these team compositions out, and that's why they deserve to be able to do it. Rychains, you talked about setting up for these objectives and the vision that Moonstone held on the, not only in the river but also in the backside of that dragon pit to prevent Love Stage from having any chance of getting in there was just really impressive to see. So very cool to see Moonstone kind of make this different, I guess we'll call it, style workout, and Mommy's guy is just, he's just a terrorist on this Karma.
Yeah, right now, Mommy's guys are relentless on this pick as Close and his Long Samurai trying to do what they can here. 0-2 is here with the On the Hunt, and Mommy guys slowed heavily. Flashing over the wall, but the flash will follow from 0-2. But look at the Mantra W healing. Supreme display of talent as Gaosho has joined the party. Close gonna use a chrono shift on himself as Kate over the wall. Alanin with the absolute flank here is gonna go on a killing spree and find Close as now Kate is trying to get the damage on to Allen, and double kill comes through as the Dawning Shadow buys just enough time, and another 3-0 in favor of Moonstone Gaming. The Baron is going to be theirs.
Yeah, it's just no one going down from Moonstone. It makes it even more impressive. They're just able to kite around for so long. Mommy's guy definitely knows what he's doing on that Karma at this point. Has 12 stacks stacked up there on the Medjai Soul Stealer. Sorry, I can't speak. And that's a Chad Karma move if I've ever seen one. And as we go into the replay here, you can just see how frustrating it is to play against this Karma if you are Nameless Love Stage here with Close, landing the stun, but Karma just has enough, has the ability to flash over the wall, healing herself with the Mantra, shield. I just can't even, there's no point in even talking through it. Basically, Karma stay alive long time, doesn't die. Other champions also don't die. That's it.
Yeah, this composition is just so annoying for Moonstone. Yes. And they're playing to their namesake, right? You have this Karma top building the Moonstone.
True.
And now Cade gonna get caught out by Allen, and Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Ooh, almost headshotted the Viego there, but
yeah, I gotta say much love to No Attack, but I feel like his accuracy rate has been like 10% or something on the Asher. Not that great.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm only noticing the ones that are missing, but I feel like there's been a lot of misses. But also, honestly, I do like just kind of throwing out that Asher very often because it just keeps the pace of the game high. And when you're this far ahead, it's not a win condition for them in the fights.
Yeah, absolutely. And here we go. As the movement spell abilities have been channeled. Nice flash there as the Yuumi ultimate's going to come through. 0-2 gets absolutely destroyed. Cade gets absolutely destroyed. Basting trying to find the resets, but there are no resets to be found as he will find one kill off the backside. But Close and Islamic Samurai are the last two members remaining, and Gaosho is trying to change that as the mid lane inhibitor tower will fall, and the inhib is falling as well. Mommy's guy, a relentless player here, gonna force out that chrono shift. His Islamic Samurai's running for the hills. Close gonna get rooted up, and Alanin goes dominating 9-2-7 on this Senna here as Islamic Samurai, the lone cat, rooted in the fountain, taken down. The Nexus towers are falling. The Nexus is going to follow, and Moonstone Gaming is going to take this series in 2-0 fashion.
And Moonstone Gaming, it was a little bit closer in this second game, and definitely, both games were contested, but at the end of the day, they do look very dominant as once again they play with their food around the Nexus, but it's only for so long as they are going to take it down, and Moonstone moves to 2-1 in the Wednesday Plat Conference for CCS.
Absolutely, and I would say pretty impressive play from Moonstone here. Playing, both ways, right? The sort of conventional way where you're picking your tanks, you have your damage dealers in the back, and you're kind of just playing front to back, and then also whatever the heck this was with Karma top, Kiana jungle, Lux mid, Ashe and Senna. So this team seems to be very versatile, and I think it's something to definitely look out for as we continue on through this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know. Oh, yeah, we're gonna get an interview here for you in just a moment. And I'm gonna make that happen for us. And we are going to get No Attack in here to break it down for us about this series. So let's see. Hopefully, I pull him into the right chat. Is that No Attack?
Hello?
Hello, you are on the stream, my friend. How's it going?
Hello, stream. I'm good.
All right, so you said that you have nothing to say about this series whatsoever. Can you I just didn't know what that meant exactly. I just
I
so if
I it wasn't flame. I just don't know what to say. It was like
oh
pretty just
boy.
clean 2-0.
Oh, it wasn't
The-
Flame. Okay, so we heard it. Okay, so
I
it was
love them. I know all of them except for their jungler, so I love all of them.
yeah, no, makes no all right. That makes sense. I just wanted to expose your GMs. But
Well,
congratulations on your 2-0 victory, bouncing back from kind of a tough loss last week. And thinking about last week, before this series, No Attack, we were talking about some of the interesting team compositions that your team likes to run. And I wanted to know how much of this is sort of your preference as a team with some of these picks, and how much of it is sort of like you just knowing that you're better than other teams and can get away with these squishy compositions in particular.
um, I mean, when it comes down to it, really, we're like two teams formed into one. I met some of these Oasis guys from Victorious, and we kind of had like a similar idea drafting, and then we kind of just put our drafts together. We have like 5 flex picks right now, so we just kind of just pick a bunch of flex picks and YOLO it and have fun.
Yeah, definitely. You had us very, very confused in the last draft. I mean, I feel like it's funny because the last draft actually ends up like being like fairly normal by the end. But yeah, definitely interesting to watch those drafts. But because you didn't have much to say, so I didn't want to keep you in here for too long. But I did want to one more question before you go. Y'all were ranked first for the lock-in tournament coming in. You made it to the finals, and it was close there. But looking at your, I'm sure your goal is to run through this, Wednesday conference. What team do you look at as your biggest competition going forward? Obviously, you lost to Omega last week. Including them, I guess, if them or a team in the future that you haven't played.
I mean, from Wednesday specifically, I know Dorado's pretty good. I played with Stunna and VRD. Um, we're hoping to get to our run back against ID Frozen and CB Rush. Me and the jungler played against CB Rush and BOL and lost in finals 4 games. And
Okay.
ID
Okay.
Frozen, we lost to in the finals, whatever the lock-in thingy.
Oh, I was
So
there.
we
I
are
was
definitely ready for our comeback game.
All right, well, you heard it here first. No Attack says all the other Wednesday teams are shit, and they're gonna shit
Bro,
on them and destroy them, and especially ID Frozen. Listen up.
Thursday
He said
better.
that you're
There's
No
or not
Attack said
Thursday,
you're terrible, and
Group B
anyways, so
better.
wow, lot of flame coming through. But anyways, thank you, No Attack, for putting up with me for a couple of minutes. You're free to go now.
All right.
And
Thank you.
congrats on the series.
Thanks.
And with that being said, Moonstone takes the series into fashion here, taking down Nameless Love Stage. That's going to be it for us today for CCS Platinum in the Wednesday division. My name is Chains. I've been joined by Elsa the Queen. Hope you guys had a lot of fun, had a good time listening to us talk, and we'll be back next week for some more Platinum action. So have a good weekend, and we'll see you then.